Welcome to Arizona's Ames Science 2019-2020 mandatory training presented by the Arizona Department of Education. Test coordinators are required to complete the training before access to the Ames Science system is granted. Test coordinators must also complete the training before test administrators. More information on required training is provided in this module. This training is self-paced. You may go back to previous slides or pause the training as needed. If you experience technical difficulties during the training, please contact the Alternate Assessment Unit at 602-542-8239. This presentation will be posted throughout the testing window for reference as needed. Information on these topics can also be found in the Ames Science Manual. Corresponding page numbers for the manual are provided in the upper right-hand corner of the slide as applicable. This training covers pre-administration tasks, slides 4 through 10, administration of Ames Science, slides 11 through 30, and post-administration tasks, slides 31 to 35. There are 3 required tasks to complete prior to test administration: submitting forms, identifying students, and completing training. All test coordinators or TCs must have the test coordinator information form and the test security agreement form submitted to ADE. Most likely this has already been submitted. Additionally, test security forms for test administrators or TAs must be signed before administration. And action plans are required for each LEA who exceeded the 1% cap in 2019. Notifications and instructions will be emailed to the alternate assessment test coordinator. TCs may contact the alternate assessment unit for questions on action plans. To help understand the process, students are identified for alternate assessment by the TC in the Student Selector application. This application closed in November. Students must qualify for alternate assessment and eligibility must be documented in the student's current IEP. Changes to eligibility determination must be made early in the school year. Eligibility criteria is posted on the alternate assessment website. Please note that changes in the district's electronic IEP system are not linked to state assessment systems. Therefore, there's no automatic process for students to be entered into Ames Science if changes are made during the annual IEP meeting. This flow chart helps to understand the importance of the Student Selector application and how the systems interact. Housed in ADE Connect, the Student Selector application gathers all of the information needed to be pushed into the Ames Science platform. This includes student lists and their assigned TAs, and performance task material counts. New this year, the no response option is not collected in the Student Selector application. More information on the no response option will be presented later in this training. Other applications found in ADE Connect are the exception to the 1% cap application, which has been renamed the 1% threshold, and the MSAA corrections application. Note that any changes made to the Ames Science platform will not carry over to the MSAA platform. These two systems are not connected. Precautions must be in place to ensure security of all test materials. Access to test materials is restricted and materials must be kept secure at all times. Students should not remove test materials from the testing room. Contents of the test should not be disclosed or discussed. Student responses should not be examined or reviewed, nor should the multiple choice responses be entered outside of the school day or without the student present. Materials should not be used after administration. Performance task materials must be returned to the TC. Student responses recorded outside the assessment system should be destroyed. Testing incidents are reported to the TC. The TC will submit an incident report in the Ames Science assessment platform. ADE will provide a response to all incidents. TCs have already signed their test security agreement forms and submitted them to ADE. This was a requirement for the TC role. TAs must also sign the test security form for test administrators. These forms are collected by the TC and retained for 6 years. Refer to the Test Security Agreement form for more information on test security. Contact the Alternate Assessment Unit with questions. Submitting forms and selecting students should be completed at this time. We are currently in the training stage. Training is mandatory training for TCs. At the end of the training, TCs must submit the completion form. This training is one option for TAs. Viewing this training in a group setting is recommended. Teachers have repeatedly commented that group trainings for TAs better prepare teachers for administration. This is especially true for new test administrators who are unfamiliar with performance task administration. Another option includes independently participating in this training. At times, test coordinators are unable to deliver training due to scheduling conflict, or you might be at an LEA with 1 or 2 TAs and it would not make sense to do a group training. A third option is to complete a TC design training. This was the previous model, therefore test coordinators might have presentations that meet the needs of the LEA, such as inclusion of LEA-specific policies. After all TAs have been trained, the TC will submit a statement of assurance that TAs are prepared to administer AIMS-A Science. Upon receiving the statement of assurance, the Alternate Assessment Unit will open the AIMS-A Science system for the district or charter. There are 3 required tasks to complete for test administration: inventorying and preparing all materials, monitoring administration, and reporting testing incidents. AIMS-A Science performance task materials are mailed to the TC. Counts are based on classroom size according to the student selector application. Materials are not sent for individual students. TCs should inventory all materials before handing them to TAs. TAs should inventory all materials before beginning administration. Do not replace missing materials on your own. Contact the ADE Alternate Assessment Unit if you have any discrepancies. It is important to plan ahead. TAs must inventory all performance task materials, print data sheets, and view test items by clicking Teacher View in the student assessment. Think about the accommodations listed on the student's IEP and used regularly during instruction. How should those accommodations be applied during administration? Some testing adaptations that are not considered accommodations include testing over multiple days, change in schedule, oral reading by the TA, magnification, using AT, and using manipulatives. This is not an exhaustive list of adaptations. Contact the Alternate Assessment Unit with questions on adaptations or accommodations. The administration window for AIMS-A Science is February 3rd through 28th, 2020. No time extensions will be granted. AIMS-A Science must be administered to all eligible students in grades 4, 8, and 10. The Science format includes 2 sections: multiple choice and performance tasks. All testing is done one-on-one and must be completed during the school day. Contact the Alternate Assessment Unit for procedures to administer AIMS-A Science to homebound or hospitalized students. Prior to testing, TA should complete the Accommodations tab for all grades and the LCI tab, Grade 10 only, to open the test. The test will not launch until these tasks have been completed. Check to ensure that both the school and student information are correct. The TA's class list will display. If your students do not appear on your list, notify your TC. TCs will need to contact the Alternate Assessment Unit. Administration of AIMS-A Science must be monitored. TCs are required to observe at least one administration. In addition, ADE staff may be conducting observations. The TC will be notified if your LEA was selected for observations. External consultants also conduct observations. For the 2020 administration, the consultants will only be observing MSAA. An observation protocol will be used for all observations and is available on the Alternate Assessment website. The TC will use the protocol to facilitate conversations with the TA. Protocols are to be retained by the TC. TA should plan to observe students with limited or no communication and students with behavior concerns. This will help the TC support the TA during administration. There is a new process for the no response option this year. TCs must first observe administration of AIMS A-Science. After the observation, the TC must talk with the TA to plan additional strategies for test administration and to support communication instruction. Then the TC may submit a request for the no response option by sending an email to the alternate assessment unit. Contact information is included on the last slide of the training. ADE has followed two cohorts of students in grade 4. Approximately 1.1% of students who participate in alternate assessments consistently show no observable communication. Requests for the no response option should be very few. The scribe accommodation is for students who are unable to physically respond to test items, but who have other modes of communication. The scribe accommodation allows for the test administrator to record student responses. This accommodation is documented in the IEP and recorded in the Accommodations tab in the AIMS A-Science system. Multiple choice items are administered online. Each item has a question and 3 response options. Not all response options have pictures. The student responses are recorded in the platform as the test is administered, even if the student uses external communication systems or is taking a paper test. It is a violation of test security to enter the student's responses into the platform when the student is not present. To administer the multiple choice items to a student with no observable communication, the TA must select Start the test for the student and administer all items to the student. When the no response option has been activated, there will be a box in the upper right corner to click. Performance tasks are administered using the materials provided. They are scored by the TA using the Performance Task Scoring rubric. Data sheets are downloaded and printed from the AIMS A-Science platform, and laminated copies are included with the material sent from ADE. It is recommended that TAs who have administered AIMS A-Science previously guide new TAs on performance task administration. Videos of performance task administration are posted on the alternate assessment webpage under the Videos and Webinars tab. Note that the performance task demonstration videos are not science content, but the administration procedures are the same. The scoring rubric is located on the alternate assessment webpage for AIMS A-Science under the Video and Webinars tab. These rubrics outline the performance task score according to the level of prompting required to complete the task. Note that the prompt levels on the top of the document are not the same as the score given to the student as indicated in the bottom row. We'll see more detailed scoring instructions soon. The scoring rubric references cues. Some examples of cues appropriate for performance task administration are provided with the rubric. Cueing provides a support for a response but does not give the answer. Cues could be physical, verbal, gestural, auditory, visual, or tactile. There are 5 possible levels for student performance on the performance task section of the test. At a level 5, the student is able to produce a correct response with no cues. The student receives a score of 4. At level 4, the student is able to correctly respond with 1 cue. The cue could be repeating the instructions, rearranging the answer cards, etc. The student receives a score of 3. At level 3, the student is able to respond with 2 cues. 1 cue could be repeating the instructions, rearranging the answer cards, etc., and the other cue could be a demonstration of a similar response. The student receives a score of 2. At a level 2, the student may need several cues in addition to modeling the correct answer choice before producing the correct response. The student receives a score of 1. At level 1, the student is unable to produce a correct response with cues and modeling. The student receives a score of 0. Please note that the scores are entered in the AIMS A-Science system, not the levels. Data sheets are downloaded from the AIMS A-Science system when the test windows are open. One laminated set is sent with the performance task materials. Each data sheet corresponds with a set of 5 performance tasks. Students' scores are recorded on the datasheet. The TA will submit the scores in the Ames A-Science platform after administering the items. Scores for performance tasks may be entered into the Ames A-Science platform after hours and/or while the student is not present. Keep in mind that both the data sheets and the student responses are secure materials. Student responses should be destroyed after the scores are submitted online. Paper data sheets must also be destroyed. The laminated data sheets should be wiped clean and returned to ADE with the other performance task materials. Ames A-Science is accessed through ADE Connect. TCs should click Alternate Assessments under the LEA name. TAs should click Alternate Assessments under the school name. TA and TC accounts are managed by your entity administrators who may or may not be the same person as the TC. The Alternate Assessment Unit is able to verify accounts and roles, but cannot create accounts, assign roles, or assist with login. Once you are logged into ADE Connect and in the Ames A-Science system, there will be a Student Testing tab on the top. This is where you access your student list. The tab is only available during the testing windows. Before testing can begin, TAs need to complete the Accommodations tab for all students. The list is alphabetical going across, so the option for None is in the middle. If the student may need an accommodation or adaptation during testing according to the IEP, click the appropriate boxes and save. In addition, the LCI tab must be completed for students in grade 10. TAs will complete the LCI for students in grades 4 and 8 in the MSAA system. To launch the test, first click on the SSID for the student to bring up the test options. The TA can view the practice item or the multiple choice items to prepare materials as needed per accommodations. To enter student scores, click Student Input for the practice or multiple choice and Teacher Edit for the performance task. The Administration tab is only available for TCs. This tab has a drop-down for TCs to view the student list, which also shows which tests have been completed, assign tuitioned out students during the final data closeout, submit final verification during the final data closeout, submit an incident report anytime during the administration and closeout window, and download score reports during the reporting window. Ames A-Science is administered from February 3rd to 28th. It is the responsibility of the TC to ensure all testing is completed and performance task scores have been entered into the Ames A-Science platform. It is strongly recommended that TCs receive a testing calendar plan from each TA. TCs should follow up with the TAs who fall behind schedule. TCs must also keep in contact if they have students tuitioned out or if they are the TC for an approved private placement to ensure testing is completed. Incident reports are only submitted by TCs. The incident report is found under the Administration tab in the Ames A-Science platform. When submitting an incident report, include the SSID only of the student and a description of the incident. Some common incidents that require incident reports are needed to remove a student who does not qualify or who has withdrawn from the LEA, not following test security protocol, administration to a homebound or hospitalized student outside school hours, and students with incomplete tests on February 28th. Do not take any action until the alternate assessment unit has responded to the incident report. After administration, there are 3 more tasks for TCs: submit final data, return materials, and receive Ames A-Science reports. During the final data closeout, TCs must ensure all student testing has been completed, submit an incident report for any student who has not completed testing, assign all tuitioned out students to a school within your LEA so that score reports will be sent, and click the closeout button. Keep in mind that failure to assign students who have been tuitioned out will result in no reports or testing data for that student. Also, ADE will submit for any LEA who does not. However, the alternate assessment unit is unable to verify tuitioned out students or students who have not completed testing. Once final data is submitted, it cannot be reset. Inventory the materials again before returning them to ADE. A return label will be included with your performance task materials. Retain the label and any packaging you wish to reuse. All materials must be returned to ADE by March 27th. It is recommended that all materials be returned right away so that they are not forgotten when MSAA system opens on March 2nd. AIMS Science reporting portal should be opening in May. Specific dates have not been determined. TCs will receive an email notification with dates and instructions to access the reports. 2 copies of each student report will be mailed to the LEA. 1 copy is sent home to the parent or guardian, and the other is placed in the student secure file. The alternate assessment unit does not replace misplaced student score reports. There are 4 reports available for download during the reporting window: the district demographic report, the school roster report, the student reports, and the district data file. Information on student performance is provided at the strand level. This can be a useful instructional resource. You have now completed the required AIMS Science training. TCs must ensure TAs have followed the district procedure to complete training and submit statements of assurance so that your TAs have access to the AIMS Science system. TAs should create a testing calendar and share the calendar with your TCs. TCs should schedule observations based on TA calendars and continue to provide great instruction for your students.